Manish Gunwani is with us, Head of Equities at Bandhan AMC. Manish, good to have you with us here. Good morning. Thanks for your time. I mean, it's been a very strong market and it's been very rewarding. And I think most people, even if, especially, and if they've not done very much, have made money on the portfolios. If you did too much, maybe you missed out. How are things looking right now to you, Manish? We've had a bit of a hiccup, especially over the last couple of days with this Fitch thing. Do you think it'll play out in any significant way, or the market will look through it and carry on?
Well, I don't think it's going to be very significant. I think it's a typical bullish market correction kind of thing. Because logically speaking, I mean, you have the world's reserve currency, which can always print money. I mean, we live in a fiat currency world. And to imagine that US would default on its debt is to me, it's a very, very, very remote possibility. So I don't think this is going to be anything significant. It doesn't change the trajectory of the global economy, the US economy, the earnings outlook of anything. So to my mind, it's one of those passing showers kind of stuff. I think we live in a fairly healthy macro for India, at least. We've all talked about how, whether it's inflation, current account deficit, growth, geopolitical stability, things look good for India. Valuations are not cheap, but I think that as long as the dollar is weak, there'll be liquidity in the world. The competition for liquidity is quite weak because China's obviously going through what seems to be a structural slowdown. A lot of the other emerging markets have bigger problems. So I think that broad positive outlook in that sense remains.
Okay, by the way, in case you're wondering what's happening with Delta Corp and why that sudden slide in the stock, let's get Delta Corp up for you on the screen. This is the latest update on the virtual GST Council meet that was held yesterday, and the Council has decided that there will be no rollback on the 28% GST on online gaming, horse racing and casinos, clarifying on the levy. So the Council has now decided to impose tax at the entry level, and that's what's caused this fall in the stock. However, it does not intend to levy GST on the redeployment of your winning amount. So the 28% GST is expected to come into effect from October. However, with Delhi, Goa and Sikkim dissenting, the Council has agreed for a review as well, 6 months after the implementation. So, that's the reason why Delta Corp is down almost about 5% odd. We'll get to that in a bit. We'll get more details on that in a bit. But Manish, how are you feeling about, some of these spaces that have come back in a big way, right? I mean, pharma, case in point. Most of these stocks have reported decent numbers. Pricing pressure has gone down in the US. In fact, this morning, something like Mankind Pharma has reported a 500 basis points margin improvement quarter on quarter. That's the kind of operational push that we're seeing. How are you feeling here?
So in general, we have an overweight on the sector. I think that we've seen a fairly long period of US generic pricing remaining under trouble. Even the domestic pharma growth has been tepid. So from a risk-reward basis, by reversion to mean, obviously, the cycle seems to be now reversing. While stocks have done well over the last couple of months, but if you see from a long-term price performance perspective, a lot of these stocks are way below long-term highs. So in that sense, I think this is a cycle which is now slightly gathering momentum. It's obviously not distressed valuation right now, but I think it's early days of the upcycle. So there should be, in case the cycle pans out, which we hope it will, then I think there is decent upside in a lot of these stocks.
Manish, I mean, you guys are building portfolios, right? I mean, you're in a way the newest kid on the block. I mean, not that new now, but if you're building and you're getting money, so as you build a portfolio, like say for example, a mid-cap fund portfolio, how do you do it? I mean, how are you allocating money now? Just give us a broad sense, sectorally, but from that perspective.
Yeah. So, Prashant, basically, I think there are 3 or 4 themes we've been kind of positive on. The first was that last few quarters, we felt the domestic economy, the domestic cyclicals are better than the global cyclicals. The second was revival in rural consumption, which is two-wheelers, microfinance, some FMCG kind of stuff. The third is the capex side with a specific focus on power, where we feel that both domestic demand supply and the global transition to green energy presents a lot of opportunities. And fourth is healthcare and pharma, right? Now, in this, I think the first two, I think, have got diluted in the sense that the apprehension a lot of us had about the global economy slowing down a lot, that seems not to be playing out, in the sense that the US economy and even Europe probably at the margin have done better than expectations. And in terms of rural economy revival, quite a few stocks have done well, but has not really been that powerful, the bounce back in rural consumption. The energy theme, I think, has been probably the strongest. We do definitely see a lot of turnaround in investments in power. The kind of demand globally for transformers, cables, etc., is very strong. That theme seems to be playing out well. And as we just discussed, the US generic pricing theme on the pharma side also seems to be doing okay. So we're kind of toggling among all these four thematic views. This is not to say that certain stocks in consumer discretionary, etc., you love from a bottom-up perspective. But yeah, I think in terms of playing cycles, these are the four cycles we probably are playing most.
Okay. Manish, how are you feeling about the cement industry now? Heavyweights like the Adani Group making their presence felt with another acquisition coming through of Sanghi. But, you know, this is a space for investors has not given the best returns, to be honest, in the last 4-5 years. Do you think that it's a start of a new upcycle now with so much consolidation also happening in this space?
So one is, as I said, we typically are more in domestic cyclicals versus global cyclicals. So we, obviously cement is one part of the domestic cyclicals. But personally, I think this is not an industry which has very strong growth for the medium to long term. So I'm not very hot in cement per se. But obviously, we are again in an upcycle in terms of demand. Q1 demand has been very, very strong. So yeah, I think where we can find bottom-up value, we will look at it. But is it, very long-term buy and hold kind of sector? I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Manish, we leave it at that. Thanks a lot for joining in and speaking about the market as well as all that's been happening lately. By the way, it's not